Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome back, or for those of you who are just arrived, welcome to the Independent Hotel Show, to the Hotel Business Stage. Today's last session on this stage is a session that I'm really looking forward to because it's about lessons that we can learn from other industries. And I'm delighted to have as my guest today, Toon Borre, Director of People of Picnic. Give him a warm applause. Toon, if you follow the news in the Netherlands, the business news, it's hard not to know Picnic, but there are people here who are not just from the Netherlands. So could you enlighten us a bit on what Picnic is and maybe also about your role there?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Sander, first of all, for the invitation. I'm very much looking forward to this half an hour. I work at Picnic. Picnic is an online grocery company from the Netherlands, founded 7 years ago, with the idea that a lot of industries have been changed over time through digitalization. So books, of course, were the first one with Amazon and in Holland, bol.com. But even after, let's say, 10 years of those changes, in grocery shopping, not so much did change. So our founders back then started with the idea and puzzling why didn't this happen in grocery? It's difficult. You have groceries from, let's say, 3 different temperature zones. You need to pick it in a completely different way. But they found out the model, and a Picnic was founded. So what we do on a daily basis is we bring groceries to the doorstep of our customers. We do that via electric vans. So we pick the groceries and they are brought to the doorstep. And I think what sets us apart from other grocery delivery companies is that we have this milkman round. So we have a highly efficient delivery model with electric vans, and we come to your street once or 2 or 3 times even a day. But it's different from other companies where you can order groceries at any time during the day. And that allows us to do it very efficient and also for a cheap price. So that's also I think our tagline is lowest price and no delivery fee. And that's what we do in the Netherlands and now also Germany and France. So next weeks are quite exciting for us because in the next, let's say, 6 weeks, we will open in Paris, we will open in Hamburg, and also in Berlin. So exciting times in our company.
Yeah, what you describe is a company that's considered to be one of the most successful of the past few years. You're being modest about it. We see those small, cute, cuddly cars driving around. But just to give us some numbers, how many people are working for Picnic in Europe?
Yeah, in the Netherlands we have around 10,000 employees, in Germany 5,000, and in France just a couple of hundred. And our office, our headquarters, is 1 metro stop further away. We have roughly 500 people working there, of which half of them is developers. So we put a lot of effort in developing our own software in-house.
So don't be fooled by the size of the vans. It's actually a really big company that has taken the market by storm, you could say, in that sense.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a tech company or is it a retail company? How would you qualify
in our branding,
yourself?
we profile ourselves as a tech company because it also helps to attract tech talent. And that's one of our scarce resources, of course. So we need a lot of developers because we have a philosophy that we think we can do things better, but that also means we need to develop a lot of software, and thus that we recruit all over the world tech talent. And that helps that we then profile ourselves as a tech company. But in the end, if you see what most people in our company do, it's mostly logistics, of course. So our logistic model, roughly, we have a big warehouse where all the vendors bring their groceries in. We pick them on a customer level, and then we transport it to hubs. And those hubs are in the, let's say, in the outskirts of the cities. And from there, our vehicles drive into the neighborhoods and deliver the groceries.
Yeah, in a way, because that's quite interesting. Because in a way, it's very much an innovation if it comes to retail. On the other hand, you compare it yourself to the milkman round, which has been a thing of the past that we've known so far. One of the characteristics that you so well described and that describes and is very recognizable for Picnic is that you reinvented an industry and really came up with a new model next to the existing one.
Yeah.
If we look at the industry that we have present here today, the industry I'm from, the hotel industry, I think we have quite similar to traditional retail in a sense that we have not fundamentally changed much in the past 10, 20, 30 years if it comes to our business model per se.
No.
If you look at our business, What do you see as an outsider?
Well, I see a business that is about experience, about being somewhere also. So maybe that's also why it has been less disrupted by digital companies, although you of course have things like Airbnb, of course, but that's more, but the core concept remains the same. People go somewhere and want to stay somewhere. Um, what I also see of your business, and I think what is very similar to our business, is also that it's about bringing smiles to people, their faces. Um, yeah, these kinds of things.
But that's an
That answer
interesting
your
thing,
question?
because you say you're listed as a tech company and you consider yourself a tech company. If you look at your head office, that's where the main focus is.
Yeah.
But your goal is to bring a smile onto people's faces. And that is not done through technology, is
Yeah,
it?
no, that is ultimately, I think it's very much about the people that work with us. Because those people who are at the doorstep of our customers are actually the face of our company. And that's also, I think, a similarity with hospitality. Like, your people are your biggest ambassadors. So happy people means also happy customers. And that's also, it's very similar to us. Yeah.
Well, as we sit here, I think we all know the struggle of getting a team of people in the same direction, delivering that smile on people's faces. That's what most of us do on a daily basis. Your company tries to do that with 10,000 people.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, so that's particularly in our team. So we call it people. So we don't call it HR. Human resources didn't feel that well. So we said, okay, let's call it people operations. And what we do in our team is recruiting. We do scheduling. We do all the HR ops. So all the things that relate to being an employer, like paying out people, all the contracts, all the legal things you need to be compliant with. Learning and development, so that people can develop themselves, but also that we ensure that people are up to speed fast. And the last bit in our team is like communication, engagement. So we try to engage people and inform them about the company so that they can do their work as best as they can. So along the different, let's say those 5 different domains in our team, we try to, to bring, let's say I think the best way to summarize we try to let people thrive, so that they can perform well and that we set the circumstances and environment in which they can. And we do that in a high scale because, you said we grew from, let's say, a couple hundred employees to now 10,000 in the Netherlands only. And to do that, you need to find ways how you can do this personalized way of working in a scalable way. We can go step by step.
Yeah, I'm interested to learn because you mentioned a lot of things that you do, and I think all of them are worthy of exploring a bit more. So let's start with the beginning. How do you find people in this market? I mean, we're all looking for talent.
Yep.
We're not the highest paying industry. I don't know about your payment schedule, but I think it's comparable in that sense.
Yeah.
It's not a highly skilled job in that sense. It's for people who are practically skilled.
Yeah.
So how do you find 10,000 people?
Yeah. Well, and even more because we unfortunately cannot retain everyone. So it's not only about replacing people, but we also needed to grow. So in a highly competitive market, because like now, if you cycle from the east to the west of Amsterdam, you probably might bump into like 30 delivery guys and girls, either on a bike or in a small van or a bigger van. So that was a big challenge. So in the beginning, we worked a lot with temp agencies, but at some point, they also couldn't deliver to us. So we started doing this ourselves. So we gathered a team. And basically what we did is our marketing team, who were very focused on customer marketing online, like Google, Facebook ads, we brought them into the people domain and asked them, okay, could you support us and let's drive campaigns on recruiting. And that's what we did. And
so the existing marketing people in Picnic were moved from the consumer side of things
to the employee side. Absolutely. And that worked out really well. So over time, we built a recruiting machine that functions.
A recruiting machine. That's it.
Yeah. Well, we have like ads, and we experiment a lot. So I think in general, everything in the people domain and HR is very much about experimentation, creativity, trying to do things, and that's also what we do with our ads on Google, Facebook. But nowadays, of course, also TikTok, of course, also Snapchat. So we have much more channels. That's one part. So that's really the inflow part where you experiment a lot with your branding. And a failure that we did, for instance, was that we were not, maybe in the beginning, not honest enough. So we were like promoting very much the driving part of working with us as a delivery guy or girl. But in the end, it's you drive a couple of minutes and then you take out the groceries. You need to bring them to the doorstep. It's quite heavy work. So we changed also the way we market our jobs to a much more, let's say, honest view, and that is also appreciated. So you also see the conversions increased. That's another part. So it's very data driven, our recruiting funnel. So we track everything, conversions, all kind of things. And one metric that really sets us out, I would say, is the time to hire. So from application to hire. And in this market, with all the competition, you see that young people apply often at multiple jobs at the same time. And we really saw that the time in the steps, if we are able to shorten the time between the steps in our recruiting funnel and have a recruiting selection process that is really fast, that boosts the conversion a lot. So, I don't have it by heart, but like 8 days, like if the process takes 8 days versus 3 days, it was like a conversion multiple of like two or three times higher. So, super big impact, especially in this field, I think.
I think that's something where we can learn, because most hotels that I know need a lot more time to reach that decision, to get all the paperwork in order. And that's where we generally lose people. I don't know what your experience is, but this, I think, is a good thing that we could see if we could use in our businesses, because maybe it's quite a difference if you talk about a multiple of 2 or even more.
Yeah. Yeah, and also what you see in papers and scientific papers is what are the best predictors for someone to be successful in a job? And the number one is that you do the actual work. And of course, with our drivers, it's pretty easy to organize a selection process where we let people do the work so that we can assess them fast, but also in a good way. But we also try to apply that in our office jobs. So we try to define cases that really simulate a bit the work what someone will do as a good predictor for someone's success at Picnic.
We had a session before this, which was on family hotels. One of the things that came out very strongly is that culture is important, the family culture. If you have a company that grows to this size in such a short period of time, because we're talking about a time frame of 5-6 years,
yeah.
How do you manage, as a director of people, how do you manage that cultural side?
Yeah, maybe that's one of the difficult things, and I agree, it's also the most important. I truly believe that culture eats strategy for breakfast. It starts with culture. I think the thing we try to do is to, at least our thinking is about how can we create an environment in which everyone feels like a founder. Because our company is founded by 3 people, and well, I'm now with the company for a while, but I think already quite soon when I started Picnic, I felt a bit like it's also my company. I started acting like a founder. And the key question that we ask ourselves is how can we convey that feeling to people across the entire organization? How do you do that is a different thing. And I think it starts, one thing we also make very explicit is saying that culture is not something that is defined from top to bottom. It is also bottom to top, so bottom up. So we make explicit that culture is, if you work at our company, then you also make the culture. So it's not that you arrive and you start working in a team and then you wait until someone organizes a team event and then you start interacting. It's like already from day one you belong to our team and you are equally important as anyone else. But it means that you also equally need to add to the culture that we define together.
Yeah, but if I can see how that works, and it sounds as if that is the way to go. But then here I am driving in my little cuddly car, meeting the customers, but I don't see my colleagues a lot. So how do you take care of that enculturization, which normally takes place in interaction with colleagues?
Yeah, well, that's something we try to stimulate a lot. So on our hubs, if you would go on a random evening, but especially I would say go on
Those
Friday
are your
evening.
distribution hubs?
Yeah, the distribution hubs. So close by here at over Amstel, there is also a hub. It really feels a bit like a clubhouse. So it's mainly young people, but we try to organize it in a way that it feels like for them being not at home, of course, but a place where they want to be. So we spent quite some money on, creating like with couches a part of the building where they can relax and they can interact. So we also stimulate interaction. We have all kind of also our bonus systems for the runners works a lot with that they get money into the pot,
Their kitty,
exactly, and then they can jointly together decide on how to spend it to improve their, let's say, working environment. On Friday evening, when the last person who's delivering comes back to the hub, they are allowed to have drinks on the hub until 1 o'clock. So it also feels a bit like being at the bar, being with your friends. We also give always the food and drinks is for free. So we also try to make people feel at home by that. And by doing so, I think it also helps us a lot on the retention side. So people know each other, people find themselves at home. And you also, I think the best example is that you see people coming to a hub while they're not even working. So on Friday evening, there are many more people than except for the people that were working.
Well, I would say that's a good sign, because if people are coming to their job in their leisure time, you must be making it attractive for people to be there.
And it also differs a lot because we have 65 of those hubs in the Netherlands, and you see also differences. And that's also fine. And that's also about culture. Like hubs really have their own culture in quite a bit, and that's fine.
So you see in the south of the Netherlands, there's more gezelligheid than there is in the north?
Well,
let's not go
I'm
there.
from Rotterdam, so it's particularly gezellig in Rotterdam.
That's probably the most gezellige hub anyway. We're here to learn lessons from other industries. As an industry, we've always been open to learning from others. We've learned a lot, mostly from the airline sector. If we look at your company and you look at us, you already mentioned a few things. What are the big lessons that drives the success of Picnic that we could be inspired by to apply in our businesses?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think in our office, one thing that we do a lot is we are not a very hierarchical company. To be honest, you said I was director of people, but I don't know if I'm director or what role title I have.
You're people.
I'm people, yeah. And we work a lot with teams, and I think Picnic is like an organization-wise, it's a network of teams. And I think with the teams model, it allows us to move fast and to move people around fast to different teams. And I also personally think that what sets great companies apart now in these times are teams of our companies that are able to move fast and put their best people fast on their biggest opportunity or on their biggest challenge.
So be lean and mean and put the talent where the focus is.
Yeah, and I also really believe that the old hierarchical model that's called from cradle to grave, that you wait until your boss stops that you can make a promotion.
Oh, we don't have this in our industry, do we?
No?
No.
Okay, that is a good...
This basically is the model that most hotels used to have for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we still have it everywhere, but it's what this industry is based on.
Yeah. Well, then the second thing I would say is the data-driven part. I mentioned a couple of things already there, but also leveraging technology. So I think there's a lot of tooling in the market, and not being afraid of start using this also on the people side, for instance, with the application tracking system. That's, I think, definitely worth your money. Proper scheduling tooling, I will come to that in a bit, because I also think that sets companies apart. But using that also will make a big difference. Emphasis on culture. Something else, maybe on the scheduling side, that's more on the operation side, which I think is also relevant for hotel business, is we puzzled quite a bit with that. And to be honest, I think it's the biggest challenge, but also the most fun part in people operations is scheduling. So if you read out in the newspapers, you see there's a lot of discussion and debate in The Hague about contract types and about wages. But in the end, I truly believe that most of our employees, what they found most important is a schedule that fits their private life, that gives them the flexibility, that gives people freedom and grip on their life. And that is one of our biggest challenges. So how do you define schedules that are on one hand efficient? Because if we schedule way too many people on random moments in the day, then the rest of the company will complain and say, hey, Toon, this is not efficient for our operations. On the other hand, we also have seasonality peaks. Like we need to absorb fluctuations, seasonality, week by week differences. When it rains, like last week, we see more orders than when it's sunny. And even on a daily level, you see fluctuations. So that's a challenge. And on the third part of scheduling is that you need to make rosters that are attractive to employees. And that is, there's no one single employee, like you know, with people who work 40 hours a week and want to have a fixed schedule. But we also have people who are like very much like the flexibility, no commitments, and want to work whenever I can, but maybe not tomorrow. So on the scheduling side, I think that yeah, putting a lot of effort there to find the right model together with your employees in a way that also works for operations, that is super important.
Yeah, well, I think most hoteliers here realize the importance of scheduling and the challenges that come with it. I have plenty of questions, but should there be any questions in the audience, we'd be more than happy to take them. There's a question. Can I have a microphone, please? Merle is right here in front. Merle, it's there.
Hello. I was wondering if you plan to ever open a shop, like a physical shop. Is that also planned, or do you really want to continue the store-based or hub-based business?
No, the focus will be to work out our current model and make it successful in Germany and France too. Yeah, so no plans to open physical stores. No.
Thanks.
Any other questions? There's one here in the front.
Hi, how is your diversity?
Yeah,
diversity within the team.
Yeah.
How is that?
How is that? I think it is very diverse in our operations. It's quite diverse in our office, but we can improve there. Yeah, and it's something at the moment we do not track it because we don't. Let's say we know if someone the gender we know, but more than that we don't know. And it's something that we are about to start also to have a better view. So voluntarily ask people if they are willing to share that with us, so that we can have a better view on that. And it's also, I think, European regulation also will force companies to do this more and more. In 2025, I think it will start. So CSDR directive, where you as a company also need to report on diversity and inclusivity metrics. Things like per gender, what the promotion rates are on the different levels and tiers that you have in the company, what the gender, but also migrant, non-migrant backgrounds are. So that's something we with the team are currently working on. But to be honest, I don't think we are there yet where we want to be. No.
I think most of the staff, which are youth, that want to plan their own schedule, but how do you work with it with management or with your full-time staff? Does it work the same?
No, with like our office team typically works the 9 to 5 hours that are part of our office job. In our operations, though, I think I agree that most people, we have mostly young people, but still that's roughly 70%. I think 30% of it is people who, in our operations on driving the vehicles, are people who are fully dependent of working at Picnic. And also have all kind of ages. So our oldest employee is 76 or so. It's really much older than the typical person you would think of driving for Picnic. And that's what I said with those different needs in scheduling. You also see that in many different other, let's say, parts of our company. So the different needs that can differ a lot among our employees. Not sure if that answers your question.
Yes, it does.
Yeah?
76?
Can you please use the...
Sorry, 76 years
Yeah,
old?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things which was evoked by the question about diversity and inclusivity reminds me of a conference where I was present, where you were speaking, and you told us about the efforts you make in opening up jobs to those people who are less likely to apply for them. Or
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't mention that, but that's also diversity and inclusion. So we also have one person in our team who is fully dedicated to supporting mainly municipalities to have people with a, in Dutch you would say a distance to the labor market, that we offer jobs to these people. Because people need probably more time, a bit more guidance, and we try to, I think we have a lot of jobs available that could possibly suit these people, but it also requires some work from us. And to do so, we interact a lot with municipalities, every week we hire people like that too. Yeah.
One of the questions I still have is, because it's been very enlightening, and I think there's a lot of things we can think about and that could apply to us, and obviously there are differences, but in essence, there's a lot of things we can apply as well. One of the things that you are doing is that you have all these people driving around, and as you said, their main job is not just driving, but it's delivering.
Yep.
And in the end, they deliver it to a human being in many cases. How do you prepare these people or train them or instruct them to be, well, kind, hospitable, friendly people?
Yeah, so apart from the, let's say, recruiting to be scalable, scheduling to be scalable, the HR back office to be scalable, also learning and development needs to be scalable, and that's where this part in our team fits in. And I think that also started with one, let's say, core thing that we decided on, and that's individual performance scales linearly, but the teacher performance and the way how we organize these programs, that scales exponentially. Because if you have a very good training program where people flow in and that works well, then the impact of it is exponential over the entire company. And that made us also think of, okay, we need to invest a lot in proper onboarding programs. So our onboarding looks like when you, what type of role are you interested in? Who should I take as an example?
Yeah, well, I think the person who delivers at the door and is in contact with the client.
Yeah, so
customer.
I think the onboarding starts already during the selection process. Like I said, we try to let people do the work what they actually will do. So our selection process is you join for a trip. After that, we have e-learnings. So everyone is required to conduct the e-learning step by step. So the first week, the second week, up to the sixth week, you have a couple of those modules you need to do. The first few trips you sit together with someone else. What else do we do? After 4 weeks and after 8 weeks, you have an evaluation. So we have a special one page that is generated based on your statistics.
And does it include the voice of the customer?
Yeah, and that's something I also wanted to mention. And that is something we also do a lot. Something we designed is called our driver coach. So based on the vehicle data and how fast the braking, the accelerating, the corner, we provide
whether
feedback.
You deliver the eggs in perfect order or whether they were broken.
Feedback, and at the end of the trip, someone sees on the device, okay, your score was 1 to 100, and 100 is perfect, and that's your driving score. So that stimulates positive, let's say, safe driving, and on the hub level, we give bonuses to the entire team, and that is then added to the budget that they can spend on their hub. We also have the feedback coach, so that's direct feedback from customers. So customers can give feedback in our app, and that feedback on a weekly level is collected and bundled and shared to our employees. And we even do that to our order pickers. So also our order pickers receive feedback on a weekly level. And we tell them how many orders they successfully work with, what the quality of the products, like was the order complete and were there no damages in there. And also we share, we have an AI model that interprets all the written feedback of the customers. So if it's for delivery, then we channel it to the delivery guy or girl, or is it for the order picker because everything was complete or nothing broken or whatsoever, then we channel it to the order picker. So there's a lot of, let's say, a real feedback culture by which we hope that it makes the job more relevant and that people also see the effect of their work, but also makes, hopefully, our employees smile because, I think I would be happy to know if I would make other people happy, that they were happy with me.
Well, I think it's great to hear all this. I think it's clear that it's a tech company, but you have such a hands-on mentality there's such a big operational chunk in the operations that really brings people to the doorsteps of other people that make it more comparable to our industries than a lot of other tech industries. We're about to finish this part. Half an hour is over before you know it. If you could give us one advice from the roller coaster ride that Picnic has been through, and if you look at our industry, what would it be out of all the things you've shared with us that is your number one tip to us?
Yeah, don't be afraid for experimentation, I would say. That applies to entire Picnic, but also to the HR domain. I think HR, you have studies in HR and there are a lot of papers, but I truly believe that every organization is different and you cannot one-on-one apply different concepts on your company. So also on the people side, I think people, like all your business challenges are probably people related. It's either about not finding the people, about the wrong people on the wrong place, about not growing. Like you need a plan, you need people to do the right things. So make people important and don't be afraid of experimenting to find out what works for you.
Thank you very much. Toon Boren.
Thank you. Leuk.
This concludes this session. Thank you. Vliegt om.
Ja,